Hey everybody, welcome back. It's another episode of Jake Talks Star Wars, and today I want to talk a little bit about the news that Ahsoka Season 2 is done. It is done filming anyway. They probably have a ton of work to do on the back end with special effects and CG and things like that, especially if they are to be believed. I think they were talking at Celebration that this season is going to have a lot of battles, space battles. It's really going to put the war in Star Wars, is what I recall from them kind of talking about during Celebration back in April. So, probably a lot of work on the back end for them, but that means that if Ahsoka Season 2 is done, we can expect to see Season 2 in theaters sometime, not in theaters. We can expect to see Season 2 on Disney Plus sometime next year, sometime in 2026, which is really exciting. And that kind of fits into what I think we're probably falling into in a routine for the next few years with Star Wars, because we already know we're getting Mandalorian and Grogu in theaters in May next year, and now Ahsoka Season 2 is done filming. So that kind of suggests to me that we're going to continue with this trend of one theatrical live action release, one live action show, potentially per year moving forward starting next year. So if we get Mandalorian and Grogu in May for summertime popcorn movie, then in the fall we'll get Ahsoka Season 2. I think that's probably the direction we're headed. So that's pretty exciting. I'm pretty excited to see where Season 2 of Ahsoka is going to go, because I'm one of the people that really liked Season 1. I thought Season 1 was great. I thought it was great as a continuation of Rebels. And I thought it was good as part of the overall Mando verse, right? So thinking about that, I was kind of thinking earlier today, about what I wanted to do with this. And rather than try to do a news video where I tackle this and a few other topics, I decided to just kind of do this topic on its own, because I'm really excited for this for a lot of reasons. So with Ahsoka Season 2, we're going to be seeing like two competing storylines happening at the same time. More than likely, two competing storylines happening at the same time. We're going to be seeing Ahsoka and Sabine and Baylan and Shin on Peridia, doing whatever it is they do on Peridia. And then we're going to be seeing Hera and Ezra and everyone else in the galaxy interacting with Thrawn and dealing with Thrawn's return to the galaxy. So that is exciting to me, because we're going to have two really, really, potentially really, really great stories to tell, kind of interconnected at the same time with each other, happening, on the other sides of the universe. So that's exciting. On talking about the Sabine Ahsoka Peridia storyline, if you haven't watched the Mortis arc on Clone Wars, if you haven't watched the Mortis arc of the Clone Wars, you really, really need to before next year. You have to before next year, because I think that's where we're going. I think that David Filoni planted those seeds all those years ago in the Clone Wars, and I think that's where he's headed with that storyline, with Ahsoka and with Ahsoka and Sabine and all the rest. So I think in the Peridia storyline, we're going to get a lot of Force lore. We're going to get a lot of pre-Jedi, like outside the Jedi, outside the Sith lore about the Force and how the Force works and the ancient history of the Force and all those sorts of things. I think we're going to get a lot of that. I think we're going to continue to see Anakin as a Force ghost and Hayden Christensen interacting with Ahsoka. And I think that Ahsoka and Baylan Skoll both are going to play integral roles in restoring balance to the Force overall. Maybe outside of the Skywalker saga that we normally think of it as, kind of in this different realm, this, outside, kind of outside of the traditional light versus dark that we normally think about with Star Wars. So I think we're going to get a lot of that kind of stuff, a lot of deep lore about the Force and about how the Force works. Maybe not how the Jedi work, maybe not how the Sith work, but how the Force works. So that's really exciting for me. I think that's going to be really neat. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be really interesting. The other storyline we're going to get is also going to be really great. You're going to have Ezra back in the galaxy after being gone for however many years, right? He disappeared. I think it was technically about a year before the Battle of Yavin. He disappears with the Purrgil. They, after they liberate Lothal, and he's gone, right? Battle of Yavin, Battle of Endor, Battle of Hoth. He's gone for all of that. Battle of Jakku, all of that. He's gone, right? So he's coming back to a galaxy where the Rebel Alliance has been victorious, and they've won, and they've restored the Republic, or at least restored a Republic. And so he's returning to that, but he's also returning to a galaxy where there's this other guy, Luke Skywalker, running around, who defeated the Sith, supposedly, right? And so you're going to have Ezra and Luke running around in the same galaxy. And I'm really interested to see if we're going to see Ezra meeting Luke, because that's going to raise, for me, just a lot of nerdy, technical questions, like who's going to be senior between Ezra and Luke, right? Because technically, Ezra was a part of the rebellion long before Luke was, right? Ezra was a lieutenant commander in the rebellion. He flew Y-Wings, he flew A-Wings, he ran his own missions long before Luke ever joined up, right? Luke was still running around on the moisture farm playing with model T-16s when Ezra was, running around and defeating Imperials and secret bases and all these sorts of things. So what's that dynamic going to look like, right? Because, just from a military standpoint, Ezra, even if they're the same rank, Ezra has more time and grade than Luke does, especially if they retro his pay, right? Yes, he's been gone on this mission for so long. So that's going to be interesting. But also, too, Ezra is every bit as much a Jedi Knight as Luke Skywalker is, if you think about it, right? Because Ezra grew up. He's the exact same age as Luke, too. That's something a lot of people don't remember. He's born on the same day as Luke and Leia. So he's exactly the same age as Luke and Leia. He's had training in the Force, consistent training in the Force from Kanan for a few years, right? For several years. He was an apprentice to Kanan for several years. He built more than one lightsaber on his own. He's on his third now, right? In the Ahsoka series, he's built his third lightsaber at this point. So, and he's done a lot of really incredible things as a Jedi. So Ezra is every bit the Jedi Knight that Luke is. And I would argue, in some ways, he may be more trained than Luke. Maybe not more gifted, right? Because Luke has that Skywalker blood coursing through his veins. So Luke may be more powerful and more gifted in the Force, but Ezra has more experience, right? With that more consistent training and kind of being steeped in it longer and having that stronger foundation of having a master, not for a few days here and a few months there, but for a consistent 2 or 3 years in a row having a master. So I'm going to be interested to see how Ezra and Luke interact if we get to see them interact. I'm going to be really interested to see how they react. I'm going to be interested to see how and if Ezra reintegrates himself into the New Republic, if he kind of picks up from where he left off from his rebellion days, if he picks up a military rank again and continues on that journey, kind of doing Jedi stuff for the New Republic as a Jedi, maybe not one of Luke's Jedi, but as a Jedi. So I'm going to be really interested to see how that goes. But yeah, I really am hoping we get to see some kind of interaction between Ezra and Luke, or hear about some kind of interaction between Ezra and Luke. That means, just at this point, recast Luke. Recast Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill, I don't think will have a problem with it. Mark Hamill has come back a couple of times for the role and melded his performance with another actor's performance, and kind of de-aged his voice. But I think Mark Hamill would be just as happy to give his blessing to recasting the actor, just for a more simple, more streamlined experience. And maybe they used makeup and things to make the actor look more like Mark. I don't know, but I'm really hoping we get to see some kind of interaction between Ezra and Luke, and how that all goes, and kind of how that informs what the Jedi are going to look like in the galaxy. So yeah, that's what I'm excited about for Ahsoka season 2. Kind of meandering thoughts. I've been sick the last week and a half or so. When I recorded last time, you guys probably heard it sneaking up on me. I had this cold kind of sneaking up, and I got really sick the day after. So I've been a little slow in getting back into things. But those are my thoughts on Ahsoka season 2. I'm really excited to see where we go. Not just with Peridea, but with the galaxy at large, and Ezra, and what this means for him and for the Jedi and everything else. So thanks for stopping by. Let me know what you think, right? Let me know what you think. You can post about it. You can comment here on YouTube. You can follow me on Instagram and Threads, and let me know what you think there as well. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know any questions you have about what I talked about today, if you have any questions. And yeah, I hope to see you guys next time. Thanks for stopping by. And remember, take care of each other out there. And as always, may the Force be with you.